Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Eric and Dana.
Lindsay.
Poor
Today we
Lindsay.
are finishing season 1 of Dynasty. It's very exciting.
Yikes.
Oh my,
A lot happened.
so much happened.
So much to talk about. So I'm going to roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So, I procrastinated and I started watching these maybe Friday so that it would be fresh in my head.
Same.
And I kind of forgot where we left off. So I thought maybe like I missed an episode because I'm like, what's wrong with Crystal? Why is she just like being like, why is she just laying around? Like, what's wrong with her?
How could you forget the rape? I forgot the rape.
The biggest thing.
He was right.
The biggest thing is season 1, the rape, and you forgot it. Although she forgot it pretty quickly too.
She sure did. It took like 20 minutes.
Well, like once the apology started happening, I was like, oh, that's right.
The roses, that long ass story about the florist and how he just wouldn't open for anyone. But I told them our love story, Crystal. Our love story.
It was so it literally was like swept under the rug and like in the very beginning in like 5 minutes. It was like, it's not that I wanted the baby so bad. I just wanted a piece of me in you. So that when I'm gone, you'll have a piece of me.
That wouldn't win me back.
It's like, you're not going anywhere. Kisses, like, it's just, what?
What's the little rape between husband and wife?
I raped you because I love you, Crystal. I love you so much. I had to rape you. You understand that, right?
Oh my god.
I know, it did hurt.
Dynasty. But yeah, so that was that.
Blake's a very complicated character, man. And he should have won an Emmy for this. He didn't, I don't think, but he should have for an award for one of these because he's so good at it.
Not a fan. I thought maybe my opinion would change. Not a fan.
I see him as an traditionalist. Like he is traditional. Like his daughter's only supposed to be some way. His son's only supposed to be some way. His wife has to be some way. And that is it. There's no other road to go down. And that's all you need to be.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
It's like he has the map of like what he wanted in his head for when they were kids and as adults, and that's that.
If they don't fit the mold, no bueno.
Yep.
I also felt like Claudia kind of took a weird turn because, like, last we saw, she found out about the affair between Crystal and Matthew, and he came home and got into bed, and she was like, "Good night." She just turned the light off. She was like ignoring him, and then I felt like we're back, and she's trying to make the marriage work. Like, on it, and she's like,
well, the interaction with Steven is kind of like really perpetuating, like she's like, this is wrong, I shouldn't be thinking about him at all. So I'm going to try to focus my thoughts on Matthew and Lindsay, like, and that's all it wants. But like, of course, Matthew is just kind of like, cool, my wife's back to normal now ish, I could just go on and do whatever it is I was doing before. Great.
Yeah, he doesn't learn anything.
No, not at all. Not even a little.
So one thing that had a larger than life presence that I didn't even remember was that damn necklace.
Yeah,
like, I thought it was a one
that
episode thing, and that was it. It like spearheaded like the last part of the season.
Yep, it was the catalyst for so many things. I mean, I really did love how both Fallon and Blake had the same idea on what to do with the necklace. Once they found out about the necklace, they literally did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Father and mother are all like completely in sync about like once they discovered what about it. And of course,
Fallon wanted to get rid of Crystal with the necklace, where Blake wanted, I feel like, control over Crystal with the necklace.
They Yeah, they each played their
Yeah,
own game with her. Like
yeah,
Fallon,
Yeah.
so Michael told her about it because Michael's got
yeah.
spies and his British girlfriend, and
That's what he does.
and
He's desperate.
he gives Fallon this info in exchange for her seducing him.
Hmm.
And she starts off with, "Can I borrow your necklace?"
Yeah.
It was like a test. Each time they test, can I see the necklace? Can you wear the necklace? As
Yeah.
then, can I wear the necklace? Can I borrow it? I want to see it. See, can you show it to me? Because
Mhm.
No,
they're all assuming she doesn't have it
I
at
feel
all.
like Crystal should have known. Like at that point, like, all right, I got to get rid of this necklace and be like, somebody stole it. You know, that's what I would do.
Right. Well, she got the fake though, right? Because she's like, they're gonna ask me about this necklace.
Well, when
Mhm.
Fallon asked if she could borrow it, and then they cut to Crystal in the room hiding the receipt for the mock-up of it, and then Fallon came in. That whole scene, I felt like Crystal caught on, and she was like, "Do you have something you want to say to me?"
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Because
Crystal,
Fallon's thing without a reason.
Hmm.
yeah, Crystal. Like, I feel like, yeah, I feel like she knew, but she doesn't like to confront people. It doesn't seem like at this point. She's just like, you want to say it to me, and then I'll, we'll talk about it. But
Oh yeah, no,
she
Crystal
she does
doesn't
that
show her
several
cards.
times,
She wants you to play yours first, and then she'll react.
and she does that a lot.
None of them do. Like the whole theme, actually, through the back end of this entire season, is that nobody talks about the feelings, like at all, until they're
That's
screaming
true.
at each other. Like literally,
Yeah.
like the truth only comes out when people are losing their goddamn minds at people, and they're like, "Oh, so you felt this way for 25 years? Great, thanks. Great to know."
25 years.
Literally. So,
um, so Lindsay's supposed to go to a party at a friend's house, and Claudia thinks that this might be a good night for her and Matthew to like have alone time together, but the well might be coming in, and so she gets annoyed, and she's like, "And what happens when the well comes in?" And she's like, "Do you celebrate with the guys?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "And then what happens?"
Then who do you celebrate with? Huh?
Yes.
It's like, the guys.
And
I
Well,
felt her on this. I felt her on this because she was like, "Listen, this would be a great time for us to like hang out, have a good, she's trying to connect. It's like that. It's the olive branch, the reach out that people do in
mhm.
relationships to make a connection." And Matthew's just
mhm.
like, "Yeah, sure." And then literally Walt calls and he's like, "Oh, hey man, like something's going on here. There's a chance we got the oils out to come in." And he's like, "Oh, all right, bye, peace. See you later, Claudia. Bye, Claudia. I know you want to hang out, but I gotta go hang out with my bros."
Yeah,
And she's just like, "You gotta be kidding."
he basically pushed her into Steven's arms because Steven
Yeah.
gave her the attention that she wanted.
Well, first she went to a bar.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Have a drink.
Matthew, oh, I can't, because it's exactly what he was gonna do. I mean, like she called it immediately, like, and
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
felt for her. That's right, Claudia. You go get yours, girl. All right.
Same. Yep.
So I remember always liking Claudia, but I feel like I love her. I feel like she might be my favorite character.
She is my favorite. She's always been. I love her.
Oh, even are the best in the whole world. I
No
was
world.
So this slimy guy like hits on her at the bar, and she's rescued by another guy who we think might be a good guy, but
like, literally three dudes. Like we were watching it. Like one guy comes up, slimy, gross. Next guy, a total, like another complete and total gross, slimy looking dude. And
mhm,
then
Yep.
a third, like leisure suit guy. Oh my god! Like what is happening?
yeah.
The woman has been in the bar for like 5 seconds.
Right.
It was probably her first time there, so like, ooh, fresh meat. Like that usually
You're
happens.
probably right. Yeah, yeah.
Um, so she ends up agreeing to go after dancing at the disco. She agrees to go back to the guy's apartment. Um,
Mm,
and granted, I don't condone assault in any way, but like you agreed to go back to this guy's apartment. Like you kind
yeah,
of led him on to believe something. Not that that's an excuse,
Right.
but I don't want to feel like I'm
True.
defending that. Like, why couldn't you go to a
Yeah.
coffee shop or something? Why do it have to be his apartment?
Well, I think
Yeah.
she's mentally fucked by Matthew, and she's just lost, kind of. So I think that's what it was. And then she
But also,
realizes it.
a woman has a right to change her mind, so maybe she was into it for a minute and then she decided she wasn't. So,
Right. She
Yeah.
probably was. She probably wanted some loving, and then was like, maybe not.
so
She
then,
wanted attention.
yeah.
Because Matthew basically just dipped. He's like, bye, see you later. You know? So she's like, no, I'm gonna go get on. I want some guy to give me attention. I want to know I'm like wanted is
Yeah.
really what it came down to, I think.
Right.
So then, she calls her safe person, Steven, to help
Oh.
her.
Yes. To save her. Oh.
And they go for a
Such
walk,
a
and they end up making love for the first time.
Make sweet love.
that time? Was it that time or was it later on? I thought they met later on. I know to be very like gentlemanly because I remember like holding his hands behind his back like as they were walking, like trying to just not like emphasize anything. I thought she came back and like went to his cabin. Was that the same night? So many things happened. Everything's
Yeah.
blending together.
We're definitely gonna blend episodes, I feel like. Because a lot did
They had a
happen.
lot. They had a couple little meetings like before it actually happened because I remember her going like, "I'm married," like at the cabin. Is that the same night?
I don't.
Yeah, that had to have happened first.
Yes, because she
Yeah.
was. I remember her being like, "This is not right. Like we shouldn't be here." Like at one point or another, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
because Lindsay was calling her, trying to be like, "Yo, mom, can you come pick me up? This party sucks, or I don't want to be here anymore." And she was not answering because she was out getting her what's-ups, you know.
Yeah, I know she like sees Steven a couple times, but doesn't like sleep with him till. Well, no, they do sleep together at this episode. At the end of it, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because
whatever. Either way, I'm okay.
because I have Steven wants Claudia to stay, and she says hold me, and they bang.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Oh my god, that was hysterical. That cutscene where they're just like, she's just like, I just want you to hold me, and he literally just comes, and then literally them in naked in bed.
Smoke.
Oh,
So now Blake's playing his game with Crystal and the necklace. And
ugh.
so first he's okay, so now ever since I don't remember which one of you said it, but ever since one of you said that you think that Joseph is in love with Blake, that's all I think about every time they're in scenes together.
He totally is. He totally is. It just proved at the court. It proved it at the court.
Yeah. No, I believe that too. After what I've seen so far, Joseph be like, he was pissed at Crystal, like
Yeah.
really upset, like finding out all this mess that she's going on with Matthew, the necklace, all that. He knew
Mhm.
all that. He was mad, like just mad.
So he's playing pool with Joseph, and that's where I kind of was like, he loves him. And
Yep.
he asked Crystal to set up a birthday dinner for Cecil. And he wants her to wear the necklace. Basically to show it off for old time's sake, because he basically implies that they have to get rid of it for money. So he
Yeah.
wants her to wear it one
Yeah.
last time. So now she's like, fuck.
God damn it.
She goes crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He asked Joseph for $5. And I was like, is he gonna do something dickish and be like, oh, here's $5 for that should cover what you paid for like the fake or whatever? Like I didn't
Oh
know where he was
no.
going with that. Nothing really
No, I
came.
think they bet. I thought they bet on the pool game because he was playing like
Yeah.
Blake was playing like crap, and Joseph's like, "Oh man, you're not really paying attention to your game, sir." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like as if like Joseph could ever beat him at pool without him getting in trouble in some way, right?
Yeah.
And of course, like Blake figures it out his perfect plan to get Crystal in this necklace situation. Like kind of like his light bulb goes off and
Mhm.
concocts the thing with the and then he starts playing amazingly.
Yeah.
Just like in pockets. And then Joseph's like, oh, I guess that whole line where he's like, well, I guess you're not on your game or something like that. I was like, ew.
They're basically going to a restaurant that requires a jet to get to. So the jet is basically happy hour.
Yeah.
It is pretty far, but hey, whatever, let's go.
Crystal initially tries to wear a different necklace, and he's like, I told you to wear the emerald. And she's like, but this goes with the dress better. And he's like, I don't care.
Yeah. It's all a game. All of it's a game. And yeah, that plane scene was also, again, pretty messy. And again, like, how do you have these conversations with people who are like right there? It's not like they're feet away. They're literal inches. Like, just
right.
on
I know
the other side of these walls.
When she
like, God damn.
Now she's trying to figure out how she's going to get the money to buy the necklace back.
Yeah.
And she tries to talk to Andrew, and I'm like, yeah, you're going to have that conversation here?
Yeah.
He even says it. He's like,
Yeah.
don't you think this would be more appropriate not on a plane? And he does threaten her too.
He does.
Yeah.
He says, don't ever test my loyalty to Blake.
Yeah, because he's in love with Blake too.
Everyone's in love with Blake in the show.
Also, Jeff is I think prior to this he fought with Fallon, and he was like, why did you marry me? And she's like not giving him a straight answer. And then he gets a little rough with her. And
Yes,
she says that she tells him the truth, and then immediately she's like, I'm lying. She's like, I just said that because you pissed me off.
I was kidding. You made me mad. Yeah, I was not a fan. It's like the minute Jeff and Fallon get married, Jeff turns into a different person. He's not the same noob, that nerdy guy that just punching way above his weight kind of thing. It's not like, he is a different guy. He treats Fallon like property, essentially, and is super pissy about living in the mansion, and also the fact that he doesn't have the same amount of money as his wife, shit like that. And he's tossing her around the room, literally grabs her hair, grabs a hand of her hair. And I was like, oh no, see, this is again why I hate all the men in this show. I literally hate every single one except for Steven. He's the only one that's good, and every single one of them.
The only one that's good.
He's the only one, like literally the only one who has like halfway respect, because in a similar scene where he's having arguments with, you don't see him smacking bitches around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. On the plane, Jeff is spying on a conversation between Fallon and Cecil, and they kind of hold hands because Fallon's a little bit jealous that he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And
who's he talking to in that scene? Who's the wife? That's the wife of Andrew Laird, right?
No.
She had black hair. She was wearing purple.
Yeah.
And they kept getting together, and she's just like being ignored by him because he's like staring at the other conversation like the whole time.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was with Andrew. I thought so too.
Oh, if she was, I don't remember Andrew having anybody, but maybe.
Yeah, there was a
moment pulled him aside, and I think she was saying like, "Oh, should I be worried about the two of them or whatever?" And Jeff was like, "Nah, like Crystal's good, like no big deal."
Right.
And then he keeps having conversations with her, but then completely ignoring her to watch whatever Fallon and his uncle are saying.
So at the restaurant, Jeff is drunk now, and so is Cecil's girlfriend, who on the plane thought she was marriage material, but now her and Jeff are like all over each other dancing and just drunk.
Oh, so messy. So messy.
And
I wrote down like, God.
I love how Jeff just like tore into everybody. He was like, Blake, I don't even like you.
Yeah, he burned some bridges.
Just ruining everybody's
he was the nicest to Crystal, but even that, he was just like, the wife that does what she's told or whatever.
Yeah. He's like, I only feel bad for Crystal.
Oh my gosh.
And Blake is still telling Fallon, like, go after your husband. Like, he tells the whole truth. He's like, you were bailed. The reason she married me because it was for a bailout, and I'm just like, ooh, this is messy.
Yeah.
I did. I think it was after this episode. It was sometime they were like by the pool, and I was like, ooh, shirtless Jeff. But I did like that he pushed Fallon in the pool.
Yeah, that was funny. He kind of just gave up. He's like, listen, if everybody's gonna just like, kneecap me everywhere I go, then I'm just gonna spend money and launder out. That's fine with
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, go for it. But like to me, I thought Fallon made a perfectly good point that like if Jeff is gonna be pissy about what dad or no, what his uncle and what Blake are doing, why is he coming to Fallon about it all the time?
Mhm.
Like be a man that you quote unquote are, go talk to them. And then he doesn't. He still doesn't. He just says it when he's drunk, feeling beer muscly, He's just the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, right.
So Lindsay's big
Oh.
moment is her breakdown and asking Matthew, "Am I a bastard?" And she's like, "That's what it's called, right? When you have a baby after the fact or like before the fact."
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Poor me.
Yes. She's going through it. But there's other points when she clocks her dad real good, like tells him straight up, be like, do you know? Are
Mhm.
you happy? Do you love mom? Did you have me out of love? You keep saying you had me out of love, but what I can see, because she's growing up,
Yeah.
they know. Kids know. As much as parents like to pretend like the kids aren't paying attention, they know. So like, especially an only child, like your parents are the only other people in the house. So
Right.
like Lindsay's probably been watching them act a fool and argue, and she watched her mom break down probably for the
Right.
same reason that everything's going on now. Like she's been through it, and now she's just telling again a young person telling their grown adult parent, like, get your house in order, okay? Like because it ain't.
I
So
remember when I watched this originally, I just remembered Lindsay just crying all the time, and I was like, "Oh, that girl's so annoying."
yeah,
But
me
as
too.
watch,
I was like, "Oh, thank God she
but
died."
what, but watching it now, I'm like, she does go through a lot of heartache and a lot of mental issues, with her
Yeah,
parents. So I really feel
yeah,
for her.
And also,
yeah.
she wasn't featured as much as I remembered her being, so I was kind of okay with it this time. I still rolled my eyes sometimes, but like
Well, yeah,
she
but
was
The
look, like
bastard,
listening.
the
Dana
whole
just
bastard thing.
explained.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't. No, keep going. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna move on to something, but if you had something else to say about it, go.
Oh no, I was just not. I couldn't relate to the bastard thing, but I can understand like her feeling like her family's falling apart. Like, because I think that's where she's coming from the whole time. That
Oh, for
like her
sure.
family's falling and that she's losing it. But the whole bastard thing, I was like, what does it matter? Who cares if they were?
You're a bastard. I'm a bastard. Whatever.
Yeah, like, you know how many bastards you probably have in your class? Come on.
So Claudia's working at a bookstore,
Mhm.
and ever since her and Steven started sleeping together, he quit his job with Matthew, and he wants to work for his father. But he wants to start from like the ground up. He wants to be like out in the field. And is he taking classes, or was that the lie to like be in the bookstore?
No, I
I
thought he
think
was actually going to college.
Okay,
I
so
thought he
he's
was.
taking classes.
Yeah,
He moves out of the mansion. He gets his own apartment so that
yeah,
he can have his secret rendezvous with Claudia.
yeah.
yeah. And it's got a
Or
fireplace.
Even though the whole family knows, they're like, "Oh, Claudia Blaisdell spent the night with Steven." And they're like, "Yes, he's not gay. Hooray!"
I know, right? I know.
Oh,
Or he can have some one night stands if he'd like,
Greg kept walking in, and he was just like, "So he's not gay?" I was like, "Yeah,
eyes.
the show just it feels like the show wanted him to be gay, and the network was like, no, we can't do it."
I said,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Good.
Mhm.
Um, So okay, so if Steven goes to visit her to get a book and to see her and flirt, and Lindsay happens to be there also, and she sees them,
Ooh.
but she doesn't really know what's going on. And
Mhm.
she even points out, she's like, "Oh, was that Stephen Carrington that I saw?" And then Claudia's like, yeah, he came to get a book. He's taking a class. Let's go to lunch." Even though Lindsay lied and said that her mom said she could leave to have lunch.
Yeah.
So then Lindsay, little schemer, calls the boy. I think the boy that she freaked out that like tried to kiss her like
Mhm.
episodes back. She
Yeah.
wants to park, So he gets a
Yeah.
car
Oh
and
god.
they go to where Steven's apartment is, and she sees her mom's car and she's just kind of staring, waiting. And he wants to make out, and she's like, "I need a cigarette." She's like, "I like to have a cigarette while I make out."
Can we just talk about how incredibly forceful she was with this guy? Like
Right.
the minute like she just walks right up to him and was like, "Hey man, I want to like hang out and like park or whatever. Can you get like a car?" And it's like, "Who is this girl?" I'm like, "This is not the same person that I just saw a scene ago. Like, couldn't even keep it together. Like, was
Well, she
like just couldn't keep
she
herself to talk, let
she
alone
she couldn't Uber there to spy. She had to get around somehow.
And, like, every single step while they're sitting there, she's like, "Can you, like, put on the radio?" Like, and she's like, "Actually, I like to smoke," and it's like, again, this girl just coming it up with "Who is this woman?" Like, I don't know who this person
Choking on the cigarette. He's like, "I thought you smoked." She's like, "Yeah, usually menthol." Like, you got the wrong.
is. Not lying. She was ready, like, each time.
Yeah.
And can we all just say 60 cents for a pack of cigarettes or what?
I know. I was like, "Oh, they're like $12 now, if not more."
I know,
Wait,
right?
what? Less than $1? I can't
1981 was a good year, right? The prices.
apparently.
um, so she sees Claudia and Steven outside because he's walking her to her car, and they start making out, and so she got confirmation,
Yeah.
and she says she wants to go home, but she doesn't go home. She runs off to Walter's, and she's like, "I want to live here
Yes.
now."
Yes. Can I live with you? And it's like, girl, no, you do not want to live with this man.
Yeah, right?
He repeated
No.
himself, like literally, like he said, "I love you almost just as much as they do," and then he said some other stuff, and he said the exact same thing. "I love you just as much as they do." I'm like, they couldn't come up with
Right.
something more original.
Maybe he forgot his other line.
I was very confused by their relationship because I don't think we saw them interact at all up until this point, except for like in maybe group scenes where she happens to also be there, where Walt was also there. I mean, there was no establishment, at least for me, that they had
I
this kind of relationship.
There
She felt
was,
safe
I
enough
think
to
there was
write it.
one scene very early on,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that
It's
was
it
kind of
it.
felt
just
very
All I
like
weird.
remember.
it's just like a close family friend, so he's just like, oh, that's Uncle Walter, and I guess she
Yeah,
felt
Yeah.
like
comfortable with him, and
yeah. I eventually made that kind of assumption, but at first I was like, "Why are you running to him? Like that's just so weird." Like, well, you don't really get to see a lot of like who Lindsay is really like interacting with, who she feels actually safe with, because all you see her is with her parents or
right.
Yeah.
randomly with her friends here and there.
So, when Matthew and Claudia are home, Lindsay's not there. They don't know where she is, and Matthew's like the worst. He's like blaming Claudia because, granted, she was
Mhm.
not doing the right thing, but for all intents and purposes, she was working.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That was the lie. So he's like
Like, but
yelling at her for working late.
yeah,
and he doesn't like that she has a job at
Mhm.
all because he's
Mm-mm.
supposed to be just finding Lindsay at any given time, no matter what she's doing. And he's
Right.
the worst husband that's ever been in the entire planet. Of course,
well,
like
he
freak
didn't
each
he
other.
didn't rape Claudia, so there's
Uh,
that.
just
Maybe he's
shy,
not the
who
worst
knows?
husband.
That's a
Yeah,
real
I mean,
that's a
like,
really low bar to set.
it's like Jeff, Blake, and Matthew. I mean, like, they're all really just vying for like the top prize of worst husband. But like, honestly, like the way he just completely pops off about her, Like, once he just unloads. He literally unloads on Claudia while she's cowering on the couch, and kind of like, dude, you had how many years of time to like speak any of this truth, and you think now is the appropriate time when your kid's missing for whatever reason, and you already have enough mess going on, like with her as it is. And Claudia's fragile. She's still fragile, no matter how much like she wants to pretend like she's doing her normal stuff. She's still compromised as a person, like not necessarily able to handle all of that at once.
Right.
Like you could tell by
they could use
playing it.
They could use family counseling.
Yeah.
Oh, oh goddamn, yeah. Like,
and Claudia does go to a counselor in the one episode in this one, or the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even like that she's in counseling, honestly. Because like she wanted him to go to counseling, and then he was against it. And then when he kind of agreed to it, that's when she was like, no, because she found out about the affair. She was like, I'm good, thanks.
She's blaming herself in those sessions about what's going on between her and Steven. Like during those sessions, she's always talking about how like, why am I doing this? I have a family, like blah blah. And it's like, it's because for one, you didn't really actually confront Matthew about Crystal. You didn't. She didn't. Like she just kind of pretended. They do that thing where they don't talk about it. They talk about other things, like going to the ski was a metaphor for helping mend a relationship instead of just talking about the
Right.
They get a call from Walter that Lindsay's there, and they go and get her. And the minute she sees them, she like bolts out the front door, and they have to change her. And I'm like, come on, girl, you're like 15 years old. You should be able to like outrun this 40-something-year-old man.
I know, right?
Yeah, he cuts her off. He tries to go around it, and he's like, boop, grabs her up. Also, like that, he chased her. Like he was at that point. Oh, and gosh.
He thinks it's because of the whole bastard thing. So he's like comforting her about that. And then when like Claudia goes to comfort her, she like stiffens up and she's like, I'm good. I don't need your love. Like,
well, she saw her with Steven. She saw her kiss Steven, right? Was it at that point? Yeah.
And she also heard them talking on the phone too at one point.
Yeah.
So like she knew there was that.
Yeah.
I think that was the sequence of events, right? Didn't she hear the phone call, and then she like went and got that boy to get his car, and then she like did the space out, and then she saw them kissing, and then she went to Walter's, and then that's how we got here. So back to that damn necklace.
Are we over that yet?
Oh, we're not. You would think. But we're not. So
it's only 3 more episodes of it.
Matthew ends up, because they hit the oil well, he ends up being able to give the money back to Crystal because now he can get a loan from the bank. So she's so happy, and she goes back to where she sold the necklace, but it's been sold to somebody else.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So it's like, God damn this necklace. And then just to like twist the knife a little bit more, Blake has an appraiser come to see how much the necklace is worth. If I was Crystal, I would have been like vomiting everywhere. Like,
seriously.
Well, oh, dude, Crystal looks scared as shit. Like the actress is amazing. She just sat there. Lynn Evans was just like, her eyes couldn't be bigger. Like the entire time. Her eyes this dinner plate.
I know, it's so funny.
If you could sweat on command, I feel like Linda Evans would be sweating in that moment.
Sure.
So I think Blake says that he bought it for $60, and the appraiser says, well, you got a good deal. He's like, because I would charge around $75 for it. And Crystal's like, are you sure?
She's like, I only paid $897 for it.
Because she's probably afraid that if they sell a fake, that they're gonna have like legal ramifications. So she's like, "Are you really sure?"
Can you look at that one more time? That was another thing too. It's like again, like she didn't play it very coy. Like Crystal as the character did not do a good job having a poker face.
No.
Thing.
But then she pieced it together. Once he left, she was just like, so you're the one that bought it, huh? It's like she's like, why are we playing these games?
Yeah.
She was
Like once she realized that there was like, yes, this is the real deal. She like
Yeah.
looked at Blake and Blake's like, oh, I guess we're gonna keep it. It's like, and like that's basically what I thought. Like in her mind, she's like, this asshole just played me. Like that's what happened. I got played.
Now here's this. I won't leave you because you raped me, but you play mind games with me and I'm out.
Right. Marital rape, not a problem for me. That is my husband is to just do whatever to my body. It's fine. Not a big deal. Those mind games with jewelry and money and then calling me out on the fact that I'm still playing around with Matthew.
No bueno.
Cannot have that. Absolutely
not. So Ted Bernard's back in town.
Oh,
yes.
I so wanted him and Fallon to have a scene together because I just wanted more of what happened on the jet in the previous episodes.
Yeah, they had some good moments for the short time that Ted was around.
Ted had everybody, honestly, like not to sexualize him, but like when he was standing there, the back of his coat was up, and I was like, okay, got a little bubble butt going. I see.
Oh shit!
Did have the shower scene. He did come out the shower to greet Blake at some point, so that was awesome.
Well, he was like still wet, but in a pair of jeans. I'm like, did you ever put on jeans when you're wet? That's like,
yeah,
that was weird.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess it was supposed to be because he was answering the door. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we know. I feel like it's established that we know that Blake knows who he is.
Yeah, but again, as Dayna said, like everybody keeps everything in. So Blake never said, "This is your lover," right? Like he just knows.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything ever.
Yeah.
But Ted and Steven did not meet at school. That's the lie, and I feel like he's doing what he did with Crystal. He's like, "Oh, what year did you go to school? Like, were you guys roommates? Did you live off campus?" Like, he's like asking questions of like slip up.
Like, isn't Blake is trying? No, go ahead, Eric. Go
ahead. He was like, what professor did you have? Like stuff like that. Yeah. Like, it was this one, right? And he's like, I don't know.
I thought Blake was trying to give him an out in a way, like kind of trying to say, like, so you met at school, or your teacher, or like your have a reason to have a relationship with him other than one that I think that you have right now, like kind of thing.
Right? Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that would have been anything he could have been other than his lover.
Right.
Anything, literally anything. I'll take anything.
The reason why he was there was to bring Steven. Was it a housewarming gift or like okay? What did he get him? I don't remember what he got him.
That was like an ice bucket, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Something small, not too large.
I love a good ice bucket.
It was an ice bucket because my mind went to ice pick when I saw the ice bucket, and I was just like,
"That's the murder weapon in Basic Instinct." The ice pick.
So I guess I skipped ahead a little bit because prior to this, Ted and Steven had a night of drinking, and he like basically begged Steven to let him spend the night, and that's why he was there.
He wanted his lover back.
He's in love with him, like crazy in love with him, like
bad. Steven meets up with Claudia, who wrapped a book that he was waiting for. I thought that was cute. And he tells her that Ted's back in town, and she's like not having it. And I couldn't really read the situation. Was she jealous that it was a guy, or was she jealous that there was just somebody else?
I think she was just jealous. I think she's not okay with Steven being with anybody. She doesn't give a shit who it is. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's very fair for her to get jealous, considering she's fucking married and has a kid.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, regardless how shitty Matthew is as a husband, you know, she's got her own baggage. So it's like, you don't really get to judge Steven on his baggage. And if he makes a mistake like that, if she was trying to connect with Matthew literally right before they got together. So It's complicated.
It
Mhm.
She
didn't.
should know that it's complicated.
To me, it didn't come across as jealousy. It came across as concern. Like the way she was questioning him. She's like, "Oh, so you're back?" Like, it felt like almost like because maybe because he left them. Like, I don't know the situation exactly, but it just almost
Like
seemed
he's
like
gonna ruin Steven's life, maybe.
right, like or like yeah, kind of with Blake because she knows like what Steven's going through, and she probably knows that it's a bad idea for him to be around. And I'm
I
Probably
sure
like
she
feel
was
that. I could
slightly
see.
jealous because she's losing her, confidant.
I feel like they're almost
Yeah,
trying to like the way they speak, it's almost like they think like homosexuality is like a mental illness.
yeah.
And kind of like I'll generalize and say the 40s and 50s, like a woman who showed any emotion was hysterical and she was like institutionalized.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
I
because she's
think
a
they're
mental illness.
all. Yeah, I think all the people who genuinely care about Steven in like the best way they can think of try to convince him to live what they consider a normal life because
Yeah,
they don't want him to suffer the injustices that people who are unfortunately at this time more not as any different now to be honest with you, but like the things that happen in public view to people in public out in private, like how Blake basically treats Steven the entire time like he's less than a person because he
yeah,
happens to love men
yeah,
too. Like it's kind of like they want to save them from that. I mean, like Fallon even tries to do it with Steven too. Like when the whole pet thing, she's like, just be with Claudia, do the easy thing, like leave Ted behind. And it's kind of like Steven's like, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who it is that I'm having sex with. Like it does. He should just love me for who I am. And I feel like in the best intentions possible, I feel like Eric's right. Like it's probably probably a little bit of both. I think she's a little jealous because she's in love with him, point blank.
yeah,
Like I know, and who wants to see someone they're in love with literally anyone else? Nobody.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But I think she's also like, because she does say later on, she's like, well, he's definitely not completely gay.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
homosexual-ish.
you know, but like at the same time, I think she's probably like, protect yourself. Like we can be together, and it won't be as a bigger struggle for you, I guess.
Right,
It
right.
almost is as if they treat it like he's an addict and like they're like, oh good, he's with
Right.
women again. And then when he like slips up and sleeps with a guy, they're like, oh, he fell off the wagon. He's gay again.
Oh,
Right.
damn.
Drugs or something. And it's like, be in love with people for crying out loud.
um so Steven, I guess in a way he chooses Claudia because he breaks things off with Ted.
Well, yeah, and but he did say he wasn't gonna see Claudia anymore either. Because Claudia was also kind of like, I can't. Like I
Yeah.
love you, but I can't. Like still have Matthew. But he wants to reconnect with his family. Like that's what makes it so heartbreaking because you're like he's still trying. He really wants
Yeah.
to be in good graces with Blake. He wants to, have a relationship with him, and this is what he has to do to get that to happen. Like, but maybe focus on the business part of it, because that's all that Blake really cares about at the end of the day. To be fair, let's all just be honest.
Yeah.
Blake cares less about literally anything else except for the business.
Um Joseph got a little mouthy with Crystal. I didn't remember him being like that this like deep into the series, like at least the season. I was
He
like,
was
wow.
mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Crystal left them or was
Yeah.
about to leave them.
Yeah.
She's breaking Blake's heart. So Joseph, who's in love with Blake, is very upset that you hurt his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was like, he said, despite our stations in life, he's like, I consider him to be like my best friend or a good friend, or boyfriend.
Sugar daddy.
Yeah.
There's fanfic, I'm sure, out in the world about them.
So Crystal decides, like we briefly touched on earlier, that she's leaving him. She writes him a note. She leaves the car that he bought her. She asks for a cab to take her away from there. Do we see where she went? We didn't really see where she went, right?
No, she
No,
just
we
said
see
she
her.
was going out of town. She called
Yeah.
Matthew and was telling him she's leaving town, and
Maybe she went to go see
Immediately.
her friends that we haven't seen since the pilot.
her asshole
I will.
friends.
I got love. He immediately calls Matthew. Like, oh, I have to just say goodbye. It's like,
Yeah.
girl, please get out of
She
here.
cared about him. She cared about him, so she wanted to say bye.
But he keeps playing both sides. I didn't realize so much in the first time I saw this around. The second time, it really does feel like Crystal does play both sides of the fence. Like the minute
It does.
it comes around, she's like, oh, I need closure, but I love Blake. I need closure. And I'm like, I know that stuff can happen time. The minute she's out the door, first thing, calling up Matthew. Knowing Claudia's like, I see you, bitch. Like, I see you. Whatever. I'll go back.
See you.
And it's fine.
So Ted decides he's going to try one last time to win Steven back, and he goes to the mansion to see him. And it doesn't work. Steven basically just wants to be friends, and he's like, go back to New York. I'm not going with you. But he wants it to be good on good terms. And Ted reluctantly agrees, and he hugs him. Meanwhile, downstairs, Blake has arrived home. And he knows Crystal left at this point, right? Like, he got the letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's already, like, seething because of that. And then he finds out Steven's home and that he has a friend upstairs. And when he finds out who it is, he's like, not in my house. Not today.
Yeah.
He says,
which is what kind of clicked it in my brain that he knew who Ted was because it didn't really click fully when he was talking to him at the apartment that he was playing with him. And I was like, oh, he was playing with him. And he swings open the door to Steven's room and sees them mid-hug goodbye, and he's like, don't touch my son, get off of my son.
Well, that's after the storm up the steps with the scary music, and you're like, shit's gonna go down.
He does say, I'm gonna kill him. He tells his servants, I'm gonna kill him, and then he starts literally old man fast walking up the stairs, like
old man fast walking.
literally huffing up those stairs, like ready to do something. He had intent to literally beat someone's ass. Like, he was ready to fight someone. That's what he wanted to do.
So there's a big pushing and fighting, and Steven trying to break them up, and Ted gets pushed, and he hits his head on the fireplace, and there's like a little pool of blood. Steven checks him, and he's dead. And Fallon's like all doe-eyed, like standing in the door, like, what?
Yeah, Fallon was the only one home. Jeff was out. Yep.
This is when I felt like it became a soap opera.
Yeah, right?
Like, literally, the constant panning to the shocked faces of everyone in the room was a great like moment of like,
It was. When I originally watched this, like the first time, like I was chilled. I was like, shit. I was like, God damn, this is crazy. This shit's crazy.
Absolutely, me too. What, like, just when Ted flipped over and there's just like this one little drip of blood, just like, all they could possibly use to have like just the tiniest little. It's like, no, are you okay, bro? You okay? And of course, like the whole thing was just like, oh no, 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 no,
no.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched this, I was just like, I just wanted to get through season 1 so bad because I wanted to see Alexis. And I just like, I don't care about this oil stuff. Like, who cares about this? And then this happened, and I was like, oh shit, we got a show now. Like,
I said to Chris that like none of this oil stuff makes it past here. That's it. No one cares. No one cares about these.
No one cares.
All don't make it. Nobody makes it. Like, just like we don't care about this.
So then I guess we can get into what is essentially a 2-part finale. We open up with the cops at the mansion. Crystal has now returned because somehow she got word of what happened. So now she's not leaving Blake. Right? So it's super awkward that she left a letter that she was leaving him, but she's back.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly like I've said, I think she cares about him. I just think she thinks she loves Matthew more. Um,
Right.
and she hates that she was like robbed of the fact of being with Matthew, even if it was in a side chick capacity.
Yeah, right.
It's not right.
So Andrew meets them at the police station, and he keeps insisting that Crystal leave because the way they handle some things are sometimes not legal. They pay people off,
Yeah.
and he probably
Yeah.
thinks maybe it's best
Yeah.
Crystal doesn't see the dirty things that they do sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she's a soft lady. She can't possibly handle the craziness of paying off a politician. Oh, girl punching.
Um, At one point during these scenes, Andrew referred to Blake as his best friend, and I was like, "Oh, don't let Joseph hear you say that, because you'll be like, who's best friend? Who's best friend?"
I know. I said Blake has a lot of best friends.
Yeah, right. Andrew Laird, though, will tell Blake what's up, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. I
Yeah.
really do appreciate.
He
Andrew
does.
going and be like, "Oh, you need to understand the type of shit you're dealing with. You're dealing with like a murder. Like we find out also he's like a murder one charge, which is like a stretch. I think it's a little bit of a stretch for what happened, but
Right.
like that's serious. That's not walking away, like
Yeah.
from that.
Yep.
I texted Eric, one of the officers in this plays a doctor on Knots Landing at one point for a season. I was like,
A
oh,
very important doctor.
very important
Very
doctor.
important doctor.
I was just proud of myself for recognizing somebody from another show, because that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
That's why I sent a shocked face.
So apparently, like, the vultures are swarming. Like, the board wants to have a meeting while Blake is locked up where he can't vote.
Shady.
And the whole time, before they even got around to, like, Crystal having to sign papers so she would have a say, I was like, she's his wife. She should just automatically have a say.
Yeah, I would think so.
Like, as being a married couple, like, shouldn't that just give her certain rights?
Yes, no. I mean, yes and no. You kind of do in a sense. Like if he died, you would probably control his shares as like an inheritance. But since he's still alive, it's kind of like he has to appoint her, especially in that capacity, as like his proxy, essentially.
Okay.
Like I give her to just make whatever decisions that need to happen. We see that's where it gets a little dicey because it's Crystal. Super secure. Also, leading up to this, he was losing his mind because he killed someone, and the minute he saw her, he was like, "Okay," and immediately trust anything Crystal needed to do. Like there was no questions anymore about Crystal's loyalty.
Yeah,
Blake was ready. He was ready to give her whatever she wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
So he basically they switched the time because he was out on bail and he was originally going to be able to go to the meeting, and then they switched the time and he's like, oh no, they're trying to steal my company.
Yeah.
So he wants Crystal to go and like kind of suss out who's the mastermind and like who he can't trust. And I love that. She was just like, no, she was like, I'll have you removed. She's like, I have 70.
She rocked that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming in, ready to just roll it out on everyone. Just bulldoze. Love it. Get it, girl.
So while they're preparing for the trial, they're picking the jury. Blake is very adamant that Claudia not be called to the stand.
Yeah.
And it got me wondering, I'm like, what is Blake's affection for Claudia? Because I feel like he's very nice to her going forward, even in the series. And I don't...
Because he knows she had a mental breakdown. And I think he just puts her in like a different compartment, kind of. Like he just respects that. Like he probably knows what Matthew went through, and he didn't want to put them through that, which I thought was like big of him.
But I don't feel like he's trying to do Matthew any favors.
No, he's doing Claudia a favor. He was helping Claudia out. Really.
Yeah. But Andrew's like, I
think like
I'm gonna do what you pay me to do. I don't care if you say no. He's just like,
yeah,
for sure. I think, like, when it comes to Claudia, I think he kind of has a soft spot because he did send Matthew away for a year, and while she was in the hospital, and he's got like this very specific obsession about the family unit.
Yeah.
Like
That's
when you're
true.
married, you stay together, you got a kid, you take care of the kid, like very again the traditionalist. So like he
Mhm.
feels like he kind of has to take care of Claudia because of all the he's like taking away like her only source of possible survival, her husband, like kind of thing. And he
Yeah.
knows he does also know that Steven is having an affair with her.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like he knows that's got to come out if she goes out on the stand, which
Oh, true.
never,
Maybe he's also
yeah.
thinking about Lindsay in a roundabout way. He doesn't want the child to get hurt.
Traditionalist to the core. Like he literally, whatever the most like conservative thing to do is in that sense when it comes to family and how you treat women and stuff like that. That's how he's going to do it. I believe.
Yeah.
Besides the rape.
That's his right as a husband.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
so the trial begins and the staff is basically interrogated. That wasn't Mrs. Gunnarsson, right? The woman that said that
No.
you heard him say, "I'm gonna kill him."
Jeanette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joseph
Poor
takes the
Jeanette.
stand for his boo, and
Yeah.
he's
For
like,
his boo.
he said he was gonna get him, not kill him. And the
Liar.
lawyer brings up the fact that Joseph was in a war and he lost like 30% of his hearing. I'm making up a percentage. I don't remember what the actual percentage was.
Yeah.
But
That he might not have heard, right?
yeah, so he turns around and he basically says it, and Joseph's like, "I heard you."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're not gonna lock my
Oh my
man up,
God.
not tonight."
he so was like that.
That's my paycheck.
Yeah, right.
So Crystal testifies, and she basically does a good job saying that he's a family man and that he loves his son very, very much, which I think Steven needed to hear. It was
Yeah.
the closest thing he was going to get from hearing his father say that.
It took her a minute to
Yeah.
respond though for that one. She's like,
It
"Do you
did.
love his son?" It's like,
Pause.
Yeah.
give me a minute. He
Yeah.
does very much. She's like, "Wait, let me think."
Maybe overall he likes him a little.
Sort of.
Fallon lies on the stand, even though she's
Oh,
threatened that she can't perjure herself.
Yeah.
yeah.
Steven's
She
just like, yeah, my sister lied.
Daddy's girl through. She'll do whatever it takes for Blake.
Yeah.
She's a Blake apologist. That's one thing she also does throughout the whole last end of this thing. She apologizes for Blake up and down, left and right. Anyone who will listen. She's a daddy's
Yeah.
girl for sure.
I guess Steven then, because she lied, is not talking to her. He's like ignoring her, and that hurts her. And she actually has like a vulnerable moment with Jeff, and Jeff kind of sees her for like a human for once instead of, and he comforts her.
Yeah, that was a nice moment.
I think it's funny, I guess, because he's rich, that he's out on bail for when he's like being charged for murder.
Yeah. Because he's rich, and
American
Andrew's a good lawyer. Andrew's
and
a
he's
really
a
good
good
lawyer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, you can pay bail. It doesn't matter. Like as long as you pay it, they're good to go. I'd imagine that it would be probably a 6-figure bail for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had to $1 million in the early 80s yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
To prove, I don't know what, Steven's heterosexuality, we got a surprise witness. I did not think we were going to see what was her name? Sarah Beth?
Sarah Pat.
Sarah Pat.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't recognize her. They said her name. I was like, oh, hey, girl.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the hooker. They watch TV
Apparently, she's not
together.
working for the same bordello. She's maybe she's getting paid more at wherever she's at now.
Hopefully, big things for Sarah Pat.
She's a masseuse. That's what she refers.
Yes.
Get the bag, girl. Get it.
But she lies. She says that her and Steven slept together and they watch TV.
They watch TV, yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, they didn't even sleep together. Like, if
Right.
anything, he was like, "Listen, I'm good, thank you. I'm tired.
Maybe
I'll
they
But she
stay
paid her
awake
probably
off.
all night."
Maybe they paid
she
her to say what they
they
wanted her
probably paid her, and she was representing herself. You know, she's got to be a good hooker. Can't be like, oh, he came and we watched TV.
Yeah,
None of the men in the
wow.
court are gonna come see her after if they're like, oh.
Yeah, right. You know, half the court was going after that.
Blair didn't want to bring he didn't want her to be on the stand. He's just like, she's not a credible witness.
Right.
Not a good witness. But Blake's
Yeah,
like, anyone, Claudia, literally anybody else.
And then
right,
she's like,
right.
go
Prove
ahead,
it.
Claudia.
Yep.
So she's basically
Yeah.
subpoenaed at her job. And how did Matthew get there? Did he hear about that being subpoenaed?
So the district attorney is like his old friend.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh, right.
At
Yeah,
the
I
He
remember
called
when they
him.
went up the dancing or whatever.
Matthew, yeah, he calls
So
Matthew
he
because he
called
finds out
Matthew.
Claudia. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he was
He's like,
actually
you need
being
to
a
get
pretty
down.
good friend. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was being a good friend
Yeah.
to Matthew.
Yeah.
So Claudia is probed and basically forced to admit that she was having an affair with Steven, just as Matthew walks in and sits at the back.
Yeah.
And then as Andrew like steps away, she like sees Matthew and she's like, fuck.
Yep. Like he has any room to talk. He
I was gonna say,
literally
but like
just
he
made
cheated too, so fuck him.
like literally hours before, earlier in that day or the day before, he made Chris on some rooftop or some mountaintop where they met.
They walked that long trail they walked on the pilot before they said anything.
Yeah.
Special
Yeah.
secret mountaintop where they meet and have special secret conversations and makeout sessions at. And he went there and like he was like, "Don't leave, I love it," blah, 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 and then made out.
Right.
So it's kind of like for you to be staring literally anyone down, boy, bye, leave you.
Boy, bye.
So Matthew freaks out and he basically attacks Blake in court, and so he's
Yeah.
arrested and held in contempt.
That judge, can we just talk about the judge for like a hot second? Because he's like sitting there, he's like looking down, he's like, hello, hey, excuse me, sir, can you not walk up on this court? Like the fact that he even made it half like 5 steps in front without
Yeah.
getting tackled, crazy. Like,
Right.
and he goes, Blake, why Blake?
Yeah,
Why not Steven?
I don't know.
Because that's what we're talking about.
So this allows Claudia to run off and grab Lindsay and be like, "We're leaving town right now. We gotta go."
Yep.
And Lindsay's just sitting in the car crying, like, "I don't want to go. I don't want to leave my friends. I don't like. What about Dad?" Like, and Claudia's like, "Just shut the fuck up." She's like, "I'll let you play when we get there."
This isn't a cable show. Shut the fuck up. Do what I say.
This ain't HBO. Yeah.
I remember the accident. It was actually tamer than I made it in my head. I thought it was gonna be like an explosion. But so, and I also thought maybe Lindsay was gonna grab the wheel to try and get her to pull over. That didn't happen. They just like came upon, I guess, somebody that was like broken down, and the car just kind of like went over that car and then flipped over.
Yeah.
Seriously. She was driving so fast. Like I remember when
she was
they had a one shot, and you could tell obviously they're not really driving in the next shot, like in the car, but that car was cooking, like just flying down the road. I'm like, I kept saying, like, Claudia, just slow down. Like, you don't need to be driving that fast. Like, they're not behind you. Like, Matthew is not currently chasing. You don't need to be. And like, I was like, they're gonna be doing. And then it clicked because I was trying to remember like how their story ends and what was the. And then I was like, oh, now I understand. Because of course Matthew was stupid enough to attack Blake. Now he's in contempt, I guess, contempt jail for assault. Like It's like, you idiot. You thought like you could do anything else? Like, this is exactly what you get. You're stuck in jail, your wife's running away. Like, of course
So
she's gonna be able to get it now.
a
I
guard
actually,
tells Matthew about the accident and says that they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gotta get out of here. I have to go to the hospital. And the guard's just like, of course. Like, they're just gonna let him out. That's not how that works.
I forgot Claudia was in the accident. I thought it was Matthew and Lindsay. I totally forgot it was Claudia. So now I'm confused. I'm like,
So did
need to
I.
Right.
Is there another accident?
I know.
No, so what happens, I don't want to spoil it because it does eventually happen later on. Like,
Yeah,
but
let's not
we can
talk about
about
it. When we get there, we'll
there's
talk about it.
another situation that you're thinking about later on.
Okay.
Okay.
I know, like,
Yeah.
I remember things, but I don't remember when things happen. And
Yeah,
like,
it's in the next season.
okay.
So, the prosecution has a surprise witness that they're waiting on, and she's just taking her time. And it actually made me think about the reboot, how she was like late, and she was like, "Sorry, traffic was a bitch."
Oh yeah.
So they're waiting, and the judge is getting frustrated, and he's like, "They should be here any minute." And then in walks Alexis in this hat, this big hat, a veil covering her face.
Yep, you don't see her face, you just see her body, just her walking in gracefully.
Yeah.
As she does.
Well, you can see her face through the veil, but you can't tell. Like,
yeah, and she's wearing glasses underneath.
Yeah.
Like I know in my heart who it is, but like, see.
Then we have Fallon saying, "Oh my God, it's my mother," and then it's like a freeze frame on every cast member's face.
That was kind of funny. I like that.
Gameplay.
They're like,
I love this reaction. Like, some people are going. It was perfect. Loved it.
And they even show Joseph too, which I was Major Domo.
Joseph knows her. Like, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
He's probably like, "Damn it, another bitch! I gotta fight for my man."
Oh, we didn't talk about with Jeanette's thing. When remember that she says he's the Major Domo, and they like the court laughs at them. They're like, "There's no Major Domo. What's that?"
And she like says it, and he's like, "Is that like a dictionary definition that you looked up?" She's like, "No, Joseph told me that."
And then the whole court laughs.
Yeah.
And I like how the judge doesn't even do anything. Yeah, he was probably laughing too, because everybody's like cracking up, and he's like, "Oh wait, court, whatever."
So Eric, you might know. Was Joan was it that they wanted Joan, but they didn't cement her contract yet, or she wasn't available, or they didn't know who they wanted?
They didn't want Joan. They wanted Sophia Loren originally, who's like a big 40s, 50s, 60s actress. She said no. I forget if there was somebody else in the running. There might have been like one or two other people, and then it was then they went with Joan.
Okay.
I can't imagine anyone else though.
Now, Dayna, so did you know Joan Collins wasn't in the first season?
I didn't put it together because I kind of we binged, so I didn't have any moments of break between the two. So I immediately knew who she was the very next episode, right? So, and I thought going in that's who she was. I didn't know they didn't get her quite, but the fact that they didn't show her face was a dead giveaway. I was like, so this act, and also like her body type, you kind of, after seeing Alexis on the show for a couple episodes, you kind of can tell it's not quite her.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
yeah.
Or the way, something about the way Joan Collins enters a room, she sucks, like everything is all on her. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing, I'd imagine she's like that in real life. I imagine like her as a person. That's what she's like.
Yeah.
So like this woman, like when you first see her, it's not quite like that, but I got excited because I was like, this is the introduction of an amazing character that I cannot wait to talk about.
Okay.
So
that was gonna be my next question, because you had seen the reboot, so you knew who Alexis was.
Yeah.
And also, you were like, this is it.
Well, that's how I felt the first time too, because I'm going in with like I was watching with an all-time fan, Karen, and like I watched the reboot, so like I had like an idea of how things were going to go, but like it was not going to be like, obviously this first season was a little tough because I was expecting to be going like 1,000 miles an hour, like the reboot was, like just nonstop drama from minute one, like the first syllable uttered drama. But this one was a slower build. I enjoyed getting to know the characters more, even though I definitely hated all of them except for Kip. Like, but it's
Claudia and Steven.
Yes, but Alexis is like one of those characters that I love to like have complicated feelings about, because I love that she brings in drama. I love that she's kind of a villain, but then also like an amazing like support character for some other people, specifically for my boyfriend. I think she's like his number one of champions, and it's kind of like, it's like you love to hate her, but you like want to be her, but also hate her. She's just that kind of gal.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I didn't hate the season. I actually enjoyed watching it. It didn't feel as slow. Like, it was slow, and I do remember feeling like the minute season 2 started, it was a different show. Like, just the vibe was different, and the writing was different. It was more dramatic.
Agreed.
And I liked it. I like I said, I remembered Lindsay annoying me more than she did. She didn't annoy me that much this time. There were moments like I said, I rolled my eyes, but like, but it almost also felt like the last 3, maybe 4 episodes, they knew they were cutting some people from the cast because they were seen a lot less. Like, we didn't see Walter ever again. Matthew's screen time was a little bit less also. Lindsay was like missing from episodes. So it's like they kind of knew, okay, we need to like rework this.
Yeah. I really liked how, like, you could tell they decided where they're going to go for the future of the show. Like, because it felt like season 1 was like kind of a scatter shot. Like, we don't know what's going to necessarily hit people. We don't know if it's going to be the drama of the family, if it's going to be the drama in the oil situation, the business drama. So they really kind of gave you a little taste of everything in this first season. Like,
they did a good job of it.
Yeah, I really think so. So, and then once they realized where the drama was, like where people got the most viewership on which episodes and what storylines people were talking about, they're like, okay, so oil out, Walt out,
oil out,
Claudia loose, because we can't have her have any of this going on. You know what I mean?
I mean, the company was like definitely a thing because it was the 80s and corporate America and everything. But it's like a back, like, it's just like the setting. It's like, oh, I need the reports of the blah blah blah, but let's talk about that bitch and how she stole my husband.
Right.
Like, in the background. 100%. But we're here. I can't wait to start season 2.
Has yet to begin.
We did forget to mention that Claudia had a moment with Crystal that I liked.
Oh yeah, when at the museum, I think it was, or art gallery.
Yeah, she like hunted Crystal down to talk to her when she found out.
Sure did.
Yeah,
I thought when she was walking up to her, I was like, oh, so Claudia just happens to be at the exact same place Crystal is.
No.
Yeah.
I love how Claudia was.
Me too. And like, and Crystal's like, well, you should talk to your husband. And she's like, well, I'm talking to you.
Yeah. I did not like how Crystal handled it. It was bullshit. I'm like, girl, come on. Like, that was that escape. Like, I gotta run away. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the drama. And it's like, girl, this is drama you specifically caused. So answer the question.
Right. And I think what did she say? She's like, what is it that you want? Don't you already have enough? But she, like Dayna was saying, she was playing both fields. She's still kind of hitting with Matthew, even though she knows Matthew is trying to work it out with Claudia. She's still meeting up with him, which she should have just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Crystal, girl.
Exactly. Right. And
I'm supposed to be rooting for you.
Yeah. And she's telling Blake, I love you. I want to be with you. I want to do this with you. I want to, like, all that stuff. It's just like, what is it then? Like, she just doesn't know. She doesn't know. She walked
Right,
into
right.
things just quickly. Like, and yes, Blake had his hand. I am convinced that Blake specifically sent away Matthew so he can make moves on Crystal. I'm
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
certain that's exactly
For like a power, probably at first for a power move, like I can get your woman, but then he actually fell in love with
absolutely.
Crystal. We're just
Yes.
creating
And
backstory. This isn't really happening. Well, we think this is what happened.
it's what I think happened. They don't show it obviously as a viewer, but
The
like
timeline is just so fast because when Crystal was on the stand, they were talking about the timeline of their relationship, and it said that she worked for him for a year, and then I think it was like within 6 months they got married. So
Yeah.
mhm.
they only dated for 6 months, like because I don't think they were dating the whole year she was working for him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No,
So I don't know. It's very quick.
doing something.
Hmm.
I think that like there was at some point or another, like there was a reason why Blake sent him away. He didn't just send him away for no reason. Just there was
Yeah.
it's always a reason. Blake just doesn't do things for fun.
Right, right.
And he treated everything that had to do with Crystal and Matthew throughout the entire show would point right to that. That like that's not below him at all in any way.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
We're in for it, man. This next couple
Well,
episodes, the next season, oh boy!
Yep.
We're in for it. It's just got gasoline poured all over this garbage fire we're watching right now.
And I've only seen these once because, like I said, I haven't finished the series, so I'm only in beginning of season 5. But now, obviously, I've restarted. So like I remember big things, but I don't really remember the in between. So it's gonna be kind of like a fresh start for me in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there might be moments where I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen now.
Dayna's almost in season 5. I think tonight you'll be entering season 5.
We will be. We have the last episode of season 4 to watch, and if it's late, we'll be able to watch the first episode of season 5.
You're gonna want to because the finales are all about the finales, you know.
I know, and I'm in a place where it's literally just like this same transition from season 1 into season 2. I have a wonderful introduction of a new character that's gonna add like an insane amount of gasoline to this already dumpster fire that is already.
Yep.
So it's feel really excited because you're like, oh boy, some stuff's gonna happen. Get slapped. I can't wait.
You're so lucky. We're so lucky we had the benefit of not having to wait a whole summer.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
One thing, I am so happy to be in this certain timeline. I get binge-worthy like shows. I could just watch one right after another, no commercial breaks, nothing. I love it.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dynasty. Next time you see us, we'll be starting season 2.
Season 2.
And meeting Alexis Carrington.
Who will play her?
As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.